Good evening, I'm Stephanie Fisher. Welcome to Fox 49 News Extra. The United States Supreme Court has agreed to decide whether school voucher programs are a constitutional use of taxpayer money. These programs typically work like this. Monetary vouchers are distributed to parents of school-age children, who in turn use those vouchers toward the cost of tuition at private schools. Now, the High Court is expected to rule by June on this long-simmering political issue. Joining us tonight are Tricia Parks, a Beaverton school teacher and a board member of the Oregon Education Association, and Rob Kramer. He is president of the Oregon Education Coalition. Thank you both for coming by.
My pleasure.
This is quite a complicated issue, and since you all are more educated in it, I'm going to turn to you first, Tricia, and say, explain this voucher program to me in a nutshell. What are we talking about?
Well, first of all, there's a game with semantics, because vouchers, school choice, or the Student Bill of Rights is really talking about taking money out of public education and putting it into the private sector, generally and mostly a religious private sector. So the semantics can be confusing on that. The position is that we as Americans educate all of our children to be civic leaders and Americans, and that's a job that we do as a nation. And what is done privately with parents or with religion should be done privately. And when you take money out of the schools and you put them into other organizations or other affiliations, all of the children suffer, because all of the array of possibilities and opportunities that we have for children, they get cut when the money gets cut. And then when a few children leave and the rest are left with less money, then there's less to offer.
Rob, I know you are for choice, though, in our public schools, but you're not all for this policy. Why not?
Vouchers are not my preferred mechanism to bring about school choice for a lot of reasons, some of which are at play in Cleveland and also in Milwaukee, where they have another voucher program. Part of it is because with vouchers also come regulations on the private schools that take the vouchers. And I don't think that's a healthy thing for our private system either. But I am for school choice, the notion that the primary determinant of where a child goes to school should be the choice of the parent, not the choice of the system. And right now, generally around the nation, our system determines where our kids go to school based upon their address. And I don't think that's a healthy thing.
But isn't some sort of system necessary, or wouldn't we have kids wanting to go to all, the best schools in town, or having to take them halfway across the city to get to those schools?
Well, I think that if you have a competitive dynamic in a public school system, you'll see all the schools get better. And I don't think it makes sense to trap some kids in a school that the parents don't want to be in, just because it's convenient for the system or because we have transportation issues we want to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Trish, do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes, the choices are out there. There are private schools that are already available for people to go to. But what happens is the choices tend to be for middle income to upper income. So even the vouchers or the tax credits, say in Arizona, really result in the middle and upper income getting a tax credit and putting their kids into the private schools, whereas perhaps the lower income students are still left in the public schools with significantly less money in the public schools. So it continues to divide the haves and the have-nots.
Do you feel that vouchers are constitutional?
I think they probably are, but first I'd like to take issue with something Trish said about vouchers and tax credits actually going to benefit middle and upper class people and their kids. Actually, quite the opposite is true. You see in Milwaukee and also in Arizona with the Arizona tax credit, the primary beneficiary of these programs are the low-income kids and quite often the minority kids. And you'll see the same thing in charter schools, which is another mechanism for school choice. Primarily, it's the low income and the at-risk or disadvantaged in one category or another that benefit from these programs. On the question of constitutionality, I think my prediction would be, although I'm loath to predict things the Supreme Court would do, I think that they will probably judge that the Cleveland voucher program is constitutional based upon the progression of cases that have asked similar questions over the last 4 or 5 years.
Would it work in Oregon?
A voucher program? No, I don't believe it would be politically feasible in Oregon at all.
Mm-hmm. Trish, what about you?
There is a difference between charter schools and vouchers, because charter schools can be an opportunity for communities to come together and create something very exciting for their community and their kids, where all would be welcome. And it was a public school with public funding, so it still stays within the idea of education for all.
Thank you both for being with us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.